Roman Reigns returned to destroy Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, then reunites with Jimmy and Jey USO. Roman Reigns just obliterated two supposed monsters and reunited the bloodline in the most shocking comeback in WWE history. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed thought they could fill the power vacuum left by the Tribal Chief's absence, but they got a brutal reality check when Roman returned with such devastating force that both men were left broken and humiliated in front of the entire WWE universe. But that wasn't even the most explosive part. When Jimmy and Jey USO appeared to stand beside their cousin again, it marked the resurrection of wrestling's most dominant faction just when everyone thought the bloodline was dead forever. The sight of Roman Reigns walking down that ramp with the confidence of someone who had never lost a step was absolutely terrifying for anyone who thought his time away had weakened his resolve or diminished his presence. The crowd's reaction was electric, but Breaker and Reed's faces told the real story. They knew they were about to face someone operating on a completely different level than the competition they had been dominating during Roman's absence. What happened next was a masterclass in professional wrestling dominance that reminded everyone why Roman Reigns is called the Tribal Chief and why pretenders like Breaker and Reed will never be anything more than temporary placeholders keeping his spot warm. The systematic destruction that followed wasn't just a beating, it was a public education about the difference between manufactured monsters and legitimate apex predators. But here's what's going to make your blood boil with excitement: Roman's return wasn't motivated by ego or desire for spotlight. According to backstage sources, he had been watching from afar as Breaker and Reed disrespected the bloodline's legacy and made disparaging comments about his family's wrestling heritage. The Tribal Chief's comeback was fueled by the need to defend his bloodline's honor and prove that nobody could replace what he represented to WWE's power structure. The attack on Braun Breaker was particularly brutal because Roman seemed to take personal offense at someone with amateur wrestling credentials thinking they could challenge his supremacy. Every move Roman executed was designed to expose Breaker's fundamental weaknesses and prove that collegiate wrestling meant nothing against someone with championship-level experience and psychological warfare expertise. "You thought you could replace me? You thought some amateur background made you ready for this level?" Roman's words to Breaker were delivered while systematically dismantling him with moves that showcased superior ring psychology and technical execution. The contrast between Roman's fluid dominance and Breaker's desperate attempts to survive was absolutely devastating for the younger wrestler's credibility. Meanwhile, Bronson Reed's size advantage became completely meaningless against Roman's combination of power, speed, and strategic thinking. The man who had been presented as an unstoppable force was reduced to a lumbering target who couldn't keep pace with someone who possessed both physical gifts and years of main event experience. Roman made Reed look slow, predictable, and completely out of his league. The most shocking moment came when Roman hit both men with consecutive spears that were so perfectly executed and devastating that the entire arena fell silent in appreciation of pure athletic artistry. The precision and power behind those moves reminded everyone that Roman's dominance wasn't just about booking decisions, it was based on legitimate superior ability that no amount of pushing could replicate in lesser wrestlers. But the real explosion of emotion came when Jimmy and Jey USO's music hit and the Usos appeared at the top of the ramp, looking directly at their cousin with expressions that mixed respect, loyalty, and genuine family love. The crowd's reaction to this family reunion was absolutely nuclear because nobody expected the bloodline to reform after all the internal conflicts and public disputes that had torn them apart. The visual of Roman standing over the broken bodies of Breaker and Reed while his cousins approached was one of the most powerful images in recent WWE history, symbolizing the restoration of natural order and the return of legitimate royalty to their rightful throne. The three men embracing in the center of the ring was more than just a wrestling moment, it was a statement about family, loyalty, and the permanence of blood bonds. "We acknowledge our tribal chief." Jimmy and Jey's declaration wasn't just a catchphrase, it was a genuine recognition of Roman's leadership and their willingness to follow him into whatever battles lay ahead. The emotion in their voices made it clear that this reunion was based on real family connection rather than just business necessity or storyline convenience. The backstage politics that led to this reunion were reportedly complex and emotional, with all three men realizing that their individual careers had suffered during their separation and that the bloodline was stronger than the sum of its parts. The recognition that they needed each other to achieve their maximum potential created the foundation for a more mature and focused version of their partnership. What makes this reunion so much more powerful than their previous alliance is how all three men have grown individually during their time apart and can now contribute different strengths to their reformed faction. Roman returns with renewed purpose and motivation, while Jimmy and Jey bring the experience of working independently and the wisdom that comes from understanding their individual limitations. The implications for WWE's entire roster are absolutely terrifying because the Bloodline's return to power means that every championship, every main event spot, and every major storyline is now under threat from a faction that has proven their ability to dominate all aspects of WWE programming when they're working together with unified purpose and family loyalty. Industry veterans are calling this one of the most impactful returns and reunions in wrestling history because it combines genuine surprise with emotional authenticity and immediate consequences for the entire promotion's power structure. The combination of Roman's individual dominance with the Usos' tag team excellence creates a faction that can threaten both singles and tag team divisions simultaneously. The financial implications for WWE are absolutely massive, as the Bloodlines reunion instantly creates the most marketable faction in the company while providing storyline opportunities that could generate hundreds of millions in revenue through merchandise, pay-per-view events, and international marketing campaigns featuring wrestling's most successful family unit working together again. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed's careers have been fundamentally damaged by this public humiliation, as their inability to compete with Roman's return has exposed them as pretenders who were only successful because they weren't facing elite competition. The booking challenges created by their decisive defeat may require months of careful rehabilitation to restore their credibility as legitimate threats. The psychological impact on other wrestlers who thought they had established secure positions during Roman's absence is reportedly severe, as they now realize that everything they accomplished may be viewed as temporary achievements that occurred while the real alpha was away. The return of wrestling's apex predator has fundamentally shifted the entire roster's hierarchy overnight. Social media reaction to this return and reunion has been overwhelmingly positive, with fans expressing genuine excitement about seeing the Bloodline back together while also anticipating the high-quality storylines and matches that their partnership typically produces. The organic fan enthusiasm demonstrates why this faction had been missed during their separation. The international wrestling community has taken notice of this development as a masterclass in how to execute surprise returns and faction reunions in ways that feel emotionally authentic while also providing immediate business benefits and storytelling opportunities that can sustain audience interest for extended periods. Other faction leaders and independent wrestlers are probably reconsidering their own strategies and alliances in light of the Bloodline's return to power, as the bar for competitive excellence has been raised to levels that may require dramatic changes in approach and personnel to remain relevant in WWE's evolving landscape. The long-term booking possibilities created by this reunion are virtually unlimited, as the Bloodline's combination of personalities and abilities provides opportunities for feuds with every major wrestler and stable in WWE while also allowing for internal character development and family dynamics that could sustain compelling television for years. The precedent set by this successful return and reunion may influence how WWE approaches other separated factions and storylines, demonstrating that authentic emotional connections between performers can overcome booking obstacles and create organic fan engagement that translates directly into business success and creative opportunities. Quick question for the comments: do you think the Bloodlines reunion feels genuine after all their previous conflicts, or does it seem like a desperate attempt to recapture past success? Let me know your honest thoughts below. And here's another one: which wrestler or faction do you think poses the biggest threat to the reformed Bloodline's dominance now that they're back together? Drop your predictions in the comments.